Here is the 2018 test for 8th grade math. You're going to see a lot of brain dumps, and that's a good strategy to write down everything you know, and somewhere in that organization of chaos, you'll find your answers, and it's always important to think about that. So I want to go over the formula chart with you really quick. So you've got y equals mx plus b. If you don't know what m is, maybe that would help you. Slope. B might be the intercept, like as in the y-intercept. That might be right. So m is slope, the b is the y-intercept, as in the y-axis, the yellow bumblebee. Got it. Direct variation, I don't use that formula. You're just going to use a proportion. And that's going to look like line, double line, line. And they would look like, if you had letters here and this is x, start diagonal divide. Slope of a line, that's y minus y over x minus x, or you could do ln reg, list 1, list 2, and that's y1, or y minus y over x minus x, it works. Circles, that's circumference, which is perimeter. And then you've got triangles, you got rectangles, you got a trap. Circles, that's pi r, pi, yeah, 2 r's. And then you got lateral and total. Lateral means the walls only, total means all the parts. You got volume, and we'll play with more with this. Sphere, that's 4/3 pi, radius, radius, radius. Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. You get simple interest, I equals PRT. Compound, and then you get your calculator, and I added that. So you got y1, y2, y0. And when would you use that? Solving for x. When do you use ln reg, list 1, list 2, y1? Solving for y equals mx plus b, like linear. Sort A, sort D, that's ordering. And list 1, that's kind of part of the ordering. All right, here we go. Question 1. So you've got a fishbowl shaped of a sphere, water, fish, diameter 16 inches. I need volume. So what do you know about volume? And a sphere, maybe a formula chart. So you would go to the formula chart, you write down what they say. I would suggest you space that out. Now I can assure you we'll be using boxes. Why? I like boxes. So continuing on. What does r to the third mean? 3 r's. 1, 2, 3. If you draw the boxes, you'll know when you're missing a number. If you don't draw the boxes, you won't know until you get your grade, and that's not the time to learn. Keep going. And they don't have to be perfect. They just have to be right. I will keep pi as a symbol and use a calculator as that. The radius, now if you notice up here, it says diameter is 16. Now, the word inches. Now you can look at that, and that's okay. Are these in inches? Is that inches? Then I don't need inches anymore. We're good on inches, so you can check that off. Diameter is 16. Now, let's talk diameter radius. That is the radius. It's a half of one. That is a diameter. Like as in diameter. That's kind of cool. How about this word? D for divide. By 2. Always. So what's 16 divided by 2? 8. If you're not sure, be sure. So this r, which is radius, all the r's become 8s. So you put an 8 here, an 8 here, an 8 here. On your calculator, I will see, this is home screen, not high school, 4/3, parenthesis, parenthesis, I'll have the pi button, parenthesis, parenthesis, I'll have an 8, parenthesis, parenthesis, an 8, parenthesis, parenthesis, and another 8, parenthesis, and then you're going to push enter. And you should get, choice A, 2144.66. We're on the home screen, just type it in. A. Question 2. Students are in a science class, speed, sound, air, temperature, data shown. Lovely. I've read it. I don't need anything. Moving up. So you've got a scatter plot, which explains the polka dot theory. And you've got the best prediction of sound when it's 50 degrees Celsius. Where's 50 degrees Celsius? Well, there's the Celsius. Where's the 50? How about that's 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40. Wouldn't that be 45? Wouldn't this piece be 50? By the way, they're counting by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. What about over here? 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. They're counting by 5s. What does that mean? It's a break. it means they didn't count it. They didn't start at 0. And is it okay? Sure, it's okay. They just didn't start at 0. Otherwise, you'd need pages to get this graph on your paper, and that'd be a long piece of paper. Next, so I want to use your highlighter that you're supposed to get. I think you should draw a line on top, straight line, and I think you should draw a line on the bottom. Now, here's the deal. Somewhere in here will be the answer. Sure. If it's not in that section, it's going to be wrong. So, what about 350? 350 is here. I'm going to call that wrong. 355 is here. Do you think those polka dots have climbed all this way and then they're going to stall? I don't think so. 360, well, I don't even have a 360. Well, okay, maybe you do. 50, 55. I think this top line is 60. That's in the blue. I kind of like that one. Next, 365. Wouldn't that be way up here yet? Another bar line? I don't think that's that one. I'm going to pick H. Use your strategies. So what do you know? Do you remember drawing the little person? They walk up the stairs. Wasn't that positive? Positive trend, I think we said. If it's in the blue, it's going to work. If it's outside the blue, it's not going to work. So from here up is wrong. From here down is wrong. This is the only section that's going to be correct, and it needs to kind of be in that middle area. Kind of go through your answer choices. Process of elimination does work well. Next, question 3. Aren't you doing least to greatest? Can't you just type those in the calculator? So what do you know about greatest to least? You need to go to list 1. Aren't you going to put them in a list 1? Sure. Aren't you going to do sort A or D? Probably D, because that's greatest to least. That's list 1. And don't you have to type all those in? And wouldn't you need to be mindful of those calculators? Which one of these is going to get you when you type it in? Probably that one. So when you type that one in, let's see what the answers are. Hang on. So there's mine that are typed in. You should have got 12. So I'm going to round that to 16, 9, and then 13. 12, 16, 9 pennies. That's 0.09, and that's 0.13. So how would you order those? Well, I mean, I can tell you. So greatest to least, wouldn't this one be the largest? And then wouldn't maybe that be the second largest? And that's the third largest, and that's the smallest. And that's greatest to least. Now I can tell you, I'm really not a greatest to least kind of person. I'm really at least a greatest kind of person. I would have still done least to greatest, because I would have said, well, that one's first, that one's second, third, fourth, and that's easier for me. When I pick my answer choices, I would place these backwards. So this one would be the last one in the list, and sure enough it is. And then that's the second to last, that's the third to last, and that's the fourth to last, which is right over here. So what about those of you that didn't get 16 cents and you got 50 something? Did you type it in right? Square root 3 over 11. That will be square root 3, close the door, divide by 11. You've got to have all those parts. How do you know to close the door? Where's the bottom of this at? Right there. That's where you close the door. Don't forget the divide. I noticed a lot of people doing that today. Next, question 4. I kind of like question 4. It was really easy. I was kind of scared it was actually too easy. So here's Jerry. He has a new job. He has $45,000. Make your comment careful there. And then Victoria, I don't care what she has. And then he will receive increase, that's more. And then $2,500. Now, before I started this in class, I actually asked you any keywords up here. Per. We need to put an X on the per. Put X on pers. How many? All of them. This is going to be y equals mx plus b. How do I know? Well, we'll look at it. What does same mean? Equal. Again, it's a brain dump. Start dropping stuff down. So if that's an x, wouldn't that x go there? If you start looking, make sure everything looks like that at least. So make sure everything has this piece. If you look at f, f is wrong. What's that x doing beside the 45,000? I didn't put one. What about g? G's got the same problem. Why is there an x by the 45? H? Well, H doesn't at least. And there's that X belongs there. So I want to put a check mark. At least half's right. What about this one? The same problem. There's no X by the 45. That means per. You don't have a per up there. Wrong. Now my concern is, I think that was too easy. We might have done it wrong. Let's go do the other kid, B. She has 54,000. Nice numbers. And increase 1,500. X. Well, that looks like H to me. By the way, if this is X and that is X, and M is in front of X, that makes this M. And if that's M, that's B. Because if that's X, that's your M, and that's your B, and that's your phi. MX plus B, MX plus B. Pretty cool. Next. Alrighty, so here's question 5. Somebody's walking from the library, grocery store, home. Okay? And then there's a diagram, and then it says, what measure is closest to the shortest distance in miles from her house? Well, the shortest distance would be the shortcut, so that's your hypotenuse. And that is letter C. I called A the height, always do. I put B as the base, always do. And then C is always across from the right angle, because I can see a fish in the sea. Next, so your formula is A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And then with my calculator, I did 0.9 squared is 0.81. 1.7 squared is 2.89. And then C squared stayed C squared. And again, when I typed those in, I just typed in 0.9, pushed the little 2 buttons, and got the answer. You can actually, let's see here, I'll type it in. 0.9 to the second, 0.81. And then 1.7 to the second, 289. And then I added them. And then I got 3.70, and that's C squared. And where did you get that little 2 button? Didn't you get that little 2 button right here? Whoops, sorry. Didn't you get that button right here? What's the opposite of a squared? Square root. In case you not triangle, thank you. So if you want to undo this one, you use that button. So, and then the square root of 3.70 is $1.92. By the way, answer B. If you want to check with the calculator, you don't have to do all these steps, but you have to at least start here. You're going to put that equation in Y1, put that equation, and you got to change to X in Y2. I left my windows at 10. The numbers were small. And then you're going to push graph, second trace, 3 enters later, X equals $1.09. D. And that's an estimated. Again, gave you both strategies. Better know one. I'd use that calculator to check my work, definitely. I do like to do it by hand. Question 6. If you read through this math problem, I'm looking for keywords. And remember, we're talking about that brain dump. So read it. And what did we talk about in class? There's got to be something in here. I beat that drum often enough that you're like, yeah, I remember. So you're looking at these numbers, ordered pair. I don't think I beat the drum on ordered pair too much. Definitely relations, not really. But what about the word function? I did beat that drum a lot. And I think we talked about the fact it wasn't that much fun. What's not fun? Being chopped in half if you're at the kid table. So if you remember the kid table, what about the x's? The x's can't repeat. So x's can't repeat. I'm going to write kid table. By the way, if you're not from my class, that won't make much sense yet. And so, because that's part of it. So let's look at these x's. Here's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did those x's repeat? No. So it's okay. So it says the relationship is not a function. Well, okay, that one's out, and then does not, that one's out. And, I had a good question today in class. What does that really mean? That means if I put 1 in the calculator, I should always get a 2. I shouldn't get a different answer. If you had another answer choice, let's say I had 5, 4 with these, that's not a function. If you put a 5 in the calculator, you should always get a -1. You shouldn't come back and put a 5 and get a 4 all of a sudden. For every one x, there's one y. There can't be 2. So that is what's going on. Now, if you read these, that kind of answers the question. These things are all the same until you get here. It says 1 value of y, 2 x's, and this says each, which is 1 x is 1 y. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. Answer's J. And again, watching that brain dump, y'all saw that x and y. Wouldn't that x and y be a table? Kid table. And back to that kid table, what the heck was that? So kid 1, you're going to sit at table 2. Kid 2, you sit at table -1. Kid 3, you sit at 0. Kid 4, you sit at 1. And kid 5, you sit at -1. Did I confuse any child and send one kid in 2